I'd like to invite is the VP of Global Wireless Networks, Marketing and Solutions for Huawei, sharing with us about 5G, the inspiring new value we can get from it. Please put your hands together for Dr. Mohamed Madkour. Once again, a round of applause, Dr. Mohamed Madkour. Oh. There we go. See,
you made it appear like so excited, man. Good afternoon, everyone. Are we all good? All right, so first of all, thank you so much for attending, no matter in person or online. And that's number one. And the next one is thanks also for GITEX organization and the city of Dubai to pull that off. It's a good opportunity and excitement actually to come here to Dubai. The third one is I would like to say a very, very early Happy New Year, because 2021 is just around the corner. We're knocking the doors for 2021, which is widely anticipated to be an extraordinary year. A fresh start for the whole planet after a very tough 2020. But 2020 was not that tough, I guess, from our industry perspective. I think it's been proven that 5G and ICT in general have proven to be of a very high value when it comes to the overall society. Also, as you will see in my presentation, that 2020 will still going to be remembered as the largest 5G deployment or any generation of technology deployment. You will see that just in 2020, we deployed more than 800,000 5G base stations. So we also need to give that to 2020. Last point before I start, last week in GCC countries, we've passed a very important milestone in which the number of 5G subscribers in GCC, including mobile and fixed wireless access, exceeded 1 million. Isn't it great? This is a very important, actually, key milestone for the whole industry and for that region, which will open the road, actually, for a very successful 2021. So let's go ahead and go over the few slides that I have. The first one is, indeed, when we build the 5G, we do not just build a 5G network. We build a new economy. That's very obvious when we see the difference in numbers. Just in 1 year, commercializing the 5G, we're having 800,000 base stations deployed, more than 200 million subscribers, and more than 110 commercial networks have been deployed. Compare that to previous generation of technologies, you will see how big 5G is. 4G, after 1 year, we reached maybe 20 networks, more than 100,000 base stations, and less than 500,000 subscribers. So this is a great deal. But this is not just from the network size or the number of networks. The ecosystem, until now, we have more than 440 5G terminals, breaking the price level of $150. We also have industry modules, about 60 industry modules from 20 suppliers, open the roads for more than 140 types of industry terminals, including those in cameras, drones, a lot of things as industry modules, even robotics, even in robots. So this is great. From a standard perspective, Release 16 and even the starting point of Release 17, they started to close the gap between the demand and the current 5G capability. I always would like to say that no matter how big you will see 5G deployment, we're only scratching the surface when it comes to the capability of 5G. If we think that 5G is gonna stay for 15 more years, or maybe 20 more years. We have to understand that it will take time to evolve with the capability of 5G. We don't have now the full capability of 5G. Even on the greatest network in China, you will have 3 operators in China contribute to about 2/3 of the 5G size in the world. Even that network does not have the full capability and the features and the muscles of 5G. And I will tell you later what are those. You will see 3GPP are working in things like enhancing uplink, in things like reducing the latency and higher reliability. And instead of 20 millisecond 4 nines reliability, we have to reach single digit latency with maybe 5.9 reliability. Things like positioning. We're talking now about sensors everywhere. In the future, for upgraded sensing, we're talking about crowd sensing. We're talking about high precision when it comes to locating things in centimeter level, not in just in meter level, so on and so forth. So we're not done yet. Maybe we have a good start when it comes to the size, but we're not done in the capability of 5G. That will serve in fulfilling the promise of 5G, those trillions of dollars that we're talking about. So in the Middle East or GCC area, these are some of the reasons why we should be all proud. We're proud in this region because we have more than 14 5G networks. Over 2020, which was a hard year, we covered 50% of the population, 5G. Not Huawei, I mean we as an industry. And one more thing, you will feel the leadership of this region, more than 60% of the shipped CPEs are in that region, which is really great. And which put this region actually in a front runner, not only from the size, but also from the application. Right now, we have more than 400,000 fixed wireless access subscription, which is going up as we speak. And as I mentioned in the morning, not in the morning, I mean in the last 5 minutes. Just in the last 2 months after iPhone 12 was launched, we saw here a ramp in the subscription in the mobile subscriber and 5G. I think what we did in the last 2 months is equivalent to what we have been doing in the last 1.5 years when it comes to the size of the subscription, which is really great. So from that perspective, these are the business perspective. This is the business angle, which we are all businessmen, right? Plus technology. But from social responsibility, also 5G in this region have fulfilled the promise. And you will see, for example, here in the UAE, for the 18 field hospitals for COVID-19, we deployed 5G network, full 5G network in maybe two days, which was great. While we worked tirelessly with the operators here to have zero-touch economy, which is also something was really important during COVID. So on and so forth. Examples are all over the place to show that 5G, not only a technology leader or a technology star, but also it's a commercial and social generation that will serve on these two aspects. Remember, business and social responsibility, that's what 5G is all about. Let's mention 5G consumer applications. We all know the famous triangle, right? 5G to C, to H, and to B applications. But even from the to C, which is the low-hanging fruit of the applications and services of 5G, you will see that South Korea, for example, which is a very good and excellent example of how in 2019 they spend a lot of money to build a brilliant 5G network. And in 2020, actually this year, they started to harvest the value for 5G in one domain, which is a consumer domain. You will see here the revenue and profit sharing and also competitiveness and the market share for those carriers who launch really good 5G, you will see that they have really better business economics and even double-digit profit growth. That's very important. And because we feel that GCC and South Korea both are from the first wave of 5G deployment, we are confident that what happened in South Korea in 2020 will happen in GCC countries in 2021. So by this time of next year, I hope that we are going to be all here again. We believe that the number of subscription in 5G will reach the sweet spot of 20% penetration when it comes to the subscription, which is going to be around 8 million. So now we are 1 million, we're going to go to 8 million. And the importance of this point, according to some of the diffusion theory of innovation, for new things, new innovations to be popular, you will have to reach that barrier, which is 20%. So after we reach that barrier of 20%, end of 2021, sky's the limit when it comes to more application, more services, more popularity, and the great values to be achieved in GCC countries. Let's talk a little bit about TVO. I always like to talk about TVO because talking just about TCO, it's okay. We need to reduce the cost, but we also need to provide more value. So if you look at the equation of the network value or 5G value, it is directly proportional to network quality and inversely proportional to the cost. That's no-brainer, right? So for the network quality, it's all about preliminary. I mean, at the first start, it's the capacity, it's the coverage. For the cost, it's the CapEx and it's OpEx. So what should we do to enhance the total value of leadership? Well, the first thing that you do enhancing the coverage, we believe that you have TDD layer for urban areas will enhance the capacity. When you go in the suburb of the countries, using the sub 3 gigahertz FDD will have better coverage and will have good experience. When it comes to better experience, of course, when you talk about ENDC, aggregating both 4G and 5G together, carrier aggregation, you will get the good things about the both world, the 4G world and the 5G world. Now, in terms of the network, I guess over last year, Huawei has been talking a lot about building a simple, efficient, powerful 5G network. And I talked last year during that time, and I talked about a concept which is we have to gear up for our equipment. Talked about simple sites when we have only one blade radio that has passive antenna and active antenna. What is the value for that? Any site in Huawei philosophy, any site that the customer, our customer has, can be 5G site. There is no barriers. We overcame so many barriers when it comes to deploying 5G in any site. And trust me, this is not easy. A lot of sites right now for many carriers, it doesn't have a space to add 5G. It doesn't have enough power to power the 5G equipment. So that was very important. One last thing about TCO, a lot of entities and organizations, they do not pay attention to the power consumption. We have to look for greener 5G. We will have to do a lot of innovation and solution to reduce power consumption of 5G. Again, this is not just a business issue, it's a social responsibility, reducing the carbon footprint for the emission. So this is what it takes to enhance the value for the network. Shifting the gears to B application, which is the hope for all organizations to get the majority of 5G promise. You know, being a 2B provider for carriers, it needs a lot of more capability. It is not easy, but we also think it is not impossible to be a full capability provider. Well, not only you need to be a connectivity provider, but that's a great start to be an excellent connectivity provider, 5G in the middle, and then you can add cloud capability to be 5G plus cloud capability provider, and then you can add integration capability to be full and the comprehensive carrier capability. We all know there are gaps. For carriers now, all of our customers are suffering from those partners who can integrate the application and services and deliver that. Somebody needs to fill this gap. We believe that carriers can fill this gap of having an integration on the full comprehensive industry services provider. But this is not only from carrier perspective. I guess this is also something relates to other industry. They have to come. I guess more and more they are convinced they will come to the carriers to sit in the table and innovate in those services needed. The picture is not really ugly, okay? It's very optimistic. And I tell you one optimistic number. Only in 1 year, last year, there has been 5,000 5G commercial innovation projects related to different industries. 5,000. Carriers won 1,000 out of those. That's globally. So that tells you that commercial innovation in the business-to-business area is going on. There is a lot of investment. You cannot imagine the number of startups and the investment in this area. So just to try to think about the size of that business when it comes to next year, 2021. So replicating what I said, those 5,000 projects, it requires not only technical solution, but also requires more capability. It is doable. But not only on the 5G area, you will have different technologies and different applications synergize together to bring that success. AI, cloud, computing power, industry applications, plus connectivity. The synergy between those is responsible for great applications like 5G oil industry and manufacturing industry. You will see here that you can enhance the productivity of those industry, 30% for oil, 20% for manufacturing. For example, in the port area, one person can control 4 cranes. So here you go, you save productivity more than 20%. China Mobile, they said that we are approaching 5G to be, how long, I still have 10 minutes, right? Good. China Mobile said that we're approaching 5G to be totally different mindset from how we approached 5G consumer business. One of the things they did what they call BAF model, basic, advanced, and flexible packages to enterprises. So they have basic level, and they have bronze, silver, and gold level, based on the capability that is needed for this industry. No matter whether it's latency or uplink speed when it comes to machine vision and controlling services and tasks, or reliability maybe. So SLA is going to be part of that, committing SLA. Deterministic experience will be needed to do that, but they are approaching it that way, and they have been successful in doing that. If we try to adopt the same equation of the consumer business in the 5G B2B, you will see it is fundamentally different, because network capability for consumer is much more narrower than network capability for business-to-business application. You need multi-dimensional experience attribute when it comes to 5G2B. As I said earlier, latency, reliability, uplink speed, downlink capacity. You need too many different things in order to reach that. So you have to enhance those. Ecosystem has to be on the numerator of the value equation. The expanded, integrated ecosystem that doesn't have anything in the middle that break it or shrink it is really needed. Because basically you need to repeat business models. And you need to have different stakeholders. You need to have competitive environment so that everybody can attack the same thing. On the denominator, in the consumer business, it was the network cost, but here is the network application deployment cost. So you will have to have the ability when it comes to operation and maintenance to have really affordable network application deployment cost. So Huawei has a O&M solution for different industry segments that can be adopted to make that operational and maintenance easier and doable when it comes to different industry application. Last slide. Of course, nobody can do it alone. And reaching the maximum or optimizing the total value of ownership, it needs different stakeholder, collaborative effort, multidimensional. I think my personal opinion, if I say why Huawei took that level of leadership until now, because of, R&D and technology, but also because of our mindset when we set innovation centers and ecosystem partners early on. Here in the Middle East, I was there 2 years ago when we launched the 5G ecosystem partnership program that really started to talk about those cases early on. And we had a crowd from different stakeholders, even from government, from enterprises, from terminal, chipset, vendors, everybody, so that we can push that forward. My last statement is maximizing total value of ownership is doable. It is not only technology issue or commercial issue or even social issue. Unfortunately, it has become a political issue. And for that, I think those who wanted to succeed in 5G, no matter from any place in the stakeholder in the value chain, we should not be distracted of all of the political issues. I am sure at the end, technology and business will win the battle against any attempt to polarize the 5G world or the ICT world, or any attempt to impede our journey as businessmen and technology, impede our journey of innovation. We will win against those bad guys. That's my last statement, and thank you so much for listening. And I'll be in the panel soon for any questions. Thank you so much.
Very good. Stay where you are. Stay where you are.
Are you still here or there?
Yeah, you still here with me. Now stay on.
Okay, I'll
stay
bring
on.
my stuff.
Are we on? Can you hear me okay? Yes? Okay, another round of applause for Mohamed. That was brilliant. Applause. There we go. Brilliant. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions before we move on to the next panel?
Okay, sure.
You okay? For
All right,
I know
I'm
you're
cool.
trying to run away, but if you don't mind.
No, I will not.
Yesterday, I was hosting the green panel over there, which was all about the development of Africa and the huge impact that that's having there. So one of the things that I loved about it is China's making a huge impact in Africa, but other countries didn't. So what I wanted to know is, what is a strategy for all the implementation for Huawei? Because some places are more developed than others. Some you've got to invest in to bring it back. What's your strategy for that?
That's a great question, actually, because we believe that there should not be any digital divide. That's number one. That's the goal. Beside or be above the technology. But also there should not be any technology divide. I do not like the people who goes to Africa, for example, and say, no 5G in Africa, 4G is enough. What needed to happen, and Huawei perspective is, we always need to think 5G in mind. We are in 5G era, no matter we are in Africa or Middle East or America or China. But the implementation way is different. For example, in Africa, we start by optimizing the sites and enhancing the 4G capability for the stuff that are 5G upgradable, and advise our customer to add 5G wherever it is needed. So this is the era of 5G. Everyone needs to gear up for 5G. enhancing 4G coordination of 4G and 5G is important for those countries like Africa.
I want to stay on just that point because there's a question I asked our panel yesterday, which is perception. Now, Africa is a huge opportunity, but it's still not seen collectively as a global power like China or India or Russia or America. It needs to have that investment, it needs to have that infrastructure, and it needs to get all the different areas of it growing together. What do you see as the pitfalls, and when will you predict, time-wise, you can see Africa being a global leader and having a global impact like the other areas I've mentioned?
Yeah, well, the global leader in 5G, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen because we're already now having the leadership. I mean, for Africa, I think they need to follow examples of different countries in the world. Maybe right now the focus should be on the government and regulatory to enable the spectrum, ease the process of getting the sites, encourage public and private investment. But from infrastructure perspective, not only digital infrastructure, but also physical infrastructure, highways, roads, all of those need to be taken care of. Last one, for Africa to lead, I think the most important asset in Africa is people. Africa is full of young, talented, passionate people. I'm African, by the way, born in Egypt. Young, people, passionate. If we leverage this power and educate, upskill those people, AI, 5G, I tell you, in 10 years, we will have Africa among the top frontrunners.
I can tell that by saying that I made you very excited.
Of course,
We're talking about Africa. Great to have you there. A massive round of applause once again for Mohamed. Brilliant.